All right, so it's 10 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and get started. Nothing too crazy today, just really wanted to kind of talk to you guys about making sure that you have a cohesive brand across all your different platforms and social media sites, and answer any questions that you have on how to kind of execute that, and just kind of run through kind of some tips and tricks on creating a cohesive brand for yourself and your business. So yeah, so I only have a short PowerPoint, it's only like 4 slides, so I'll jump into it and then we'll kind of walk through this checklist. And I did share a checklist. If you guys can see it in the chat, it's like a Dropbox link. If not, I can resend it. Just let me know. But essentially, we'll walk through that today and then we'll jump into the platforms live so that you can kind of see how all of this works. So, cohesive branding and why it matters. So your brand reflects you and your business and the experience and service that you provide. Obviously, I think everyone knows that. So what we really are focusing on today is kind of building your brand so that you have a positive first impression. So when clients are going to your website or to your Facebook page, they're going to have a positive first impression of you and your business and how you kind of handle things. They're going to see you as a professional. So whether you decide to kind of market yourself for a specific area or a specific type of client, they're going to lean on you as the professional when they see your online presence. Obviously, it builds trust as well. So making sure that everything is current, that you're available to connect with them, they can read reviews on you. It helps build trust through your brand online. And you can also build an identity for yourself and your business through your branding online as well. And then, of course, last but not least, it helps you stand out from your competition. So if you have a unique brand, you're going to kind of stand out from the crowd. So with that being said, I always like to throw in a few stats just so you guys can see them, but I thought this one was really interesting. So it takes less than 0.2 of a second for an online visitor to form an opinion of your brand once they've pursued your website. 0.2 of a second, I just think that's crazy. So once they're on there, they take another 2.6 seconds to essentially go through and confirm what they're seeing online. So if they like your brand, they're going to kind of take another second, another quick look at it to confirm that they like what they're seeing. If they don't, they'll essentially do the same thing, but then kind of cross you off their list. So it's important. You only have a short, limited time to kind of build that impression. So I just thought that was powerful. And I included a link. I don't know if you can see it on your screen, but on the PowerPoint at the bottom, there's a link if you wanted to read this article. Additionally, in the article, it had some really interesting information. I won't go through all of this kind of from top to bottom, but the things I wanted to point out. So logos. So we'll talk about logos in a little bit, but the visitors actually spent time looking for a logo that they recognized. So again, if you have the opportunity, you can do something like that. I think logos are a great option. Some of these are kind of more out of your control. So something like the navigation menu or the search box. So obviously if you're on like the remax.com website, we already have that kind of stuff taken care of for you. But if you do decide to host on your own website, just make sure that some of these things are included in that as well. What I also thought was interesting that the consumers actually looked for links to your social sites. And so not that you have to have a presence on every single social site. I think it is really interesting that they actually went out of their way to look for places where they could find you on Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, whatever it is. And then, of course, they're looking at the primary image. So usually you have some sort of large image when you're on your website that kind of helps catch attention and, of course, represents you as well. And then they also took almost 6 seconds to look for written content. And so kind of how I'm looking at that, especially on like your Remax website and things like that, is that they're looking for things like your bio. So they want to read a little bit about you or about the company. And then they're also probably looking for things like reviews. And then at the bottom of the page, they also ended there for about 5 seconds. And I thought that was interesting because usually that's where your contact information and things like that are. So just making sure that that kind of information is correct and visible on your website. So just things I thought were interesting. So I'm going to exit the whole PowerPoint. I didn't have anything too crazy in there. So outside of the PowerPoint, and what I shared in the chat is this little checklist. And this is what we're going to kind of walk through today. I'll zoom in so you guys can see it. But essentially making sure that you're going through all of these platforms. Can you guys see this okay? Okay, going through all of these different platforms and making sure that your contact information is on here, your headshots, your bios, everything, again, looking for a cohesive branding package. So it doesn't have to be anything fancy, it just needs to be consistent across all the platforms. So we're going to jump into Mac Center. So anyone that has any questions on your Mac Center profile, you can let me know. We're also going to talk about Lead Robin. Now, I don't have access to the agent side of things, but if anyone needs access to Lead Robin, we'll talk about that as well. But that's essentially your profile on all of our RE/MAX executive websites. So those are kind of the two main ones. And then we kind of break down into some other platforms that maybe executive doesn't necessarily control, but you guys should also make sure that you have a presence on. So MLS, really basic. I'm just talking about your contact information and a headshot. That is how agents are going to find you that are in your network. And I think it just is important to make sure that you have that information on there. And again, that it's cohesive with everything else that you're doing. Managing or setting up a Google business account. So if someone is searching you online, they're going to be able to find you on Google and find your office and hopefully a link to your website and things like that. And then Zillow and Trulia, they're kind of linked together since Zillow owns Trulia. But again, this is where consumers are going. And so you want to make sure that you have this information, you have your information readily accessible to the consumer. Because trust me, if they want to find you, they'll look, but they're not going to spend that long unless they really need to get a hold of you for something. So if they're comparing you to another agent and they're going to all these platforms and you're not there, it's going to steer them towards somebody else. So making sure that you have your profiles and everything set up here. Realtor.com, again, really just kind of serving the consumer on a lot of these. Homes.com, same concept. So look, kind of think about everything from the consumer perspective and try to meet them where they're going or where they're at. And then, of course, we're going to jump into social media. So looking at your Facebook, your LinkedIn, Instagram, how to create a cohesive kind of look to everything. And if you guys have any questions about how to manage your accounts on there, we can talk about that as well. And then just a few other things. So talking about your voicemail, which seems kind of simple, but make sure that you have a nice personalized voicemail set up that says something about RE/MAX Executive. So if people are calling you, they know they have the right number. And then, of course, business cards and other printed material. Again, just really incorporating, so you have the same headshot on all of those, you have the same contact info. If you have, I don't know, a slogan or something that's kind of unique to your brand or your business, making sure that you're incorporating all of that together. And then last but not least, things to consider. And I may come back to this after we jump through these sections up here, if that's okay with everybody. But as always, as we kind of jump into things, just let me know if you have questions or if I'm moving too fast. I had a lot of coffee this morning, so just let me know. All right, so jumping into Mac Center. And was everyone able to pull this sheet from the chat, the link that I sent over, or did it not show up for everyone? I can resend it if needed.
I don't see it in the chat, Sarah.
Okay, I will resend. It may have been sent.
I got it, Sarah, and I'll pass it along to all the agents.
Perfect, thank you. I just resent it if anyone. Okay, all right, just let me know. All right, so jumping into, the first thing on the list was Mac Center. And so again, super basic, just making sure your Mac Center profile is current, up to date, has all your information in there. And this profile, and for those of you that have been watching kind of throughout the last couple of weeks, you already know this, but this profile essentially feeds to your Boosh website and to the RE/MAX.com kind of bio pages. So if someone is looking for you on the RE/MAX website, your information is going to pull through from your Mac Center profile to those platforms. So super simple, just click up in the top right on your picture or a balloon and then hit update profile.
Hey, Sarah?
Yeah.
Did we confirm that that information pulls over like immediately? Is there a lag time? We ran into a little snag when I was reviewing some of those.
Mm-hmm. So as of right now, it should be okay. But if you notice anything, you can go into the support, which is under apps and support services.
Okay.
Message them and say that your information's not pulling through, and they may have to do something. It's kind of like a case-by-case basis, but for the most part, it should be working now.
Yeah, when I did a review, there were a number of them that weren't pulling things over accurately, so that's good to know. We'll work through the support services.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, and if anyone else is having those issues, yeah, definitely message them because sometimes they just have these weird glitches. But so essentially once you jump into your profile, and I'm not going to go through every little bit of this, but you have a menu over here on the left side, and you can essentially walk through this. You can update your name, if you have a team name, that will be included in here. You can include a title if you wanted to as well. So Sandy doesn't have one, but if you wanted to, you could hit this edit button, and it allows you to put in a job title. So if you wanted to say broker, realtor, whatever you prefer, team leader, you can do that. I won't mess with hers. And then you have, of course, your demographics and things. And then on the left, you have your contact info. So your main RE/MAX email address is here. Wherever you have that email forwarded to, that is your ISP email. You can change that out as many times as you want. Your RE/MAX one kind of works as an alias. So if you're thinking about having kind of a cohesive brand across all of your platforms, you may want to consider using your RE/MAX one, because that one won't ever change. If something were to happen to her Gmail, for example, or if you have a Yahoo or something like that, you could essentially set that up as your ISP email and then market yourself with your remax.net email. That way you have flexibility to change, but then on the marketing side of things, you don't have to update your business cards every time or anything like that. Does that make sense? Okay. And then you have web and social media sites. So you can come in here and you can add in your Twitter account, your agent website, listing website, any of your social platforms. All you have to do is hit add. It will give you a little drop down to select. And if you've already added like your Facebook page or something like that, obviously this will not show up. So you just select what platform it is that you're linking, and then you put the address in here. And essentially you can just copy and paste. If you notice, Sandy's is a long facebook.com page link. So just copy and paste whatever URL that you want to link it to. And then you do have the option to set it as a primary as well and include it in the web directory. And then, of course, your cell phone. So always go in and make sure, especially if you've been with RE/MAX for a while, you may have like an office number in here that doesn't exist anymore or something that you don't use. So just make sure that your cell phone or your office number, everything is still correct. And then fax if you want to include it. And then photo. So we'll talk about photos in a little bit, but so Sandy has a nice photo in here that's current, up to date. And so make sure that you have a high resolution photo, one that's been taken hopefully within the last couple of years, again, so that you're portraying yourself truthfully. People are going to meet you eventually anyway, so you might as well let them know what you look like, similar to the conversation on video on Friday, like that is your face, so just get used to it. But having a nice updated photo, again, helps with that professionalism, it helps with that brand identity, and helps with that trust. So you can update your photo here. You can also come in and put in your professional details. So this is just your license number, your specialties, all of these are editable, designations, and then office service areas. So these are just based off of our office locations. So you can't change those, but you can add additional service areas at the bottom. And this section is editable. So if for whatever reason the list of office locations does not match up with your service areas, just come in here and change these and customize them. And then scrolling back to the top, personal details. This is where you can put in your bio. And we'll talk about the bio. Well, I guess we can talk about it now. So when it comes to your bio, make sure that it's current, it's up to date, obviously, but also don't be afraid to include some more personal information in there. So people connect with you really, yes, sorry, Carmen. Yes, you cannot change the office areas, but the service areas you should be able to, but let me know if not. But in terms of the bio, again, just think about how when you're reading somebody else's bio, you want to find something there that you can connect with. So if it's maybe where you're from, you can include that in there. If it's the school that you went to, if it's your hobbies, if it's just information about yourself that people can connect with, I think that helps build a lot stronger bio and a lot stronger personal connection when people are reading about you. So it only takes a little bit of time. Obviously, talking about your sales and experience is great, but everyone is going to say they're the best realtor in Charlotte or Asheville or Waynesville, wherever. So I think connecting with people a little bit more helps kind of build up that relationship and that trust. So just something to consider. So your bio here, you don't need to make it a whole novel, but just, again, something that people can read and kind of get a feel for who you are and kind of the service and experience that they're going to get. You can include educational information, civic activities, hobbies. Again, all good stuff to include. If somebody's a fan of tennis, obviously they're going to read that and get excited. Or if they like food and wine, which I think everybody does, but they're going to read that and, again, feel more connected with you. So that's personal details. I think Carmen is saying that it's also the service areas you cannot change. Okay, good to know. So if it's not letting you change the service areas on here, just let me know and we can look into that. It should be letting you change them, but we can look into yours, Carmen, separately. All right, and then other than that, we have the MLS and the awards, which all of this is auto kind of populated between us and RE/MAX, so not really much you have to worry about down here. I will point out, if you are a team leader, you will have this section here in your MAX Center profile, and essentially it just allows you to kind of manage your team's profile, your team's photo, and your own roster. So if you need to, that access is also here in your MAX Center profile. And essentially what this is feeding to, just so you guys can see it, is your remax.com bio page. So you'll notice her bios here, all of her contact info. She has a link to her websites, a link to her team site, her designations, everything is in here. So this is the bio page. So it's really just pulling through the information that is in your MAX Center profile. So nothing crazy. Her listings are in here as well. She has hers linked up to her external website. So when she clicks on, or when you click on my website, it brings you to her team's website that they manage outside of remax.com. For those of you that don't have a team website, you can go and link up your remax.com Bouge website. And if anyone has any questions on where to find that URL, let me know and I can jump into that. But I think we've covered Bouge a good bit, so I'm not going to jump into it unless anyone has questions on it. But yeah, so this is her, essentially, remax.com Bouge website. So you notice it has the header, it has the search bar, everything that she customized in her Bouge account, all of her Zillow reviews, all of her listings, social media, all that good stuff. So just so you guys can see it. Any questions on MAX Center profile, how it kind of relays out to Bouge in terms of your RE/MAX bio page or your RE/MAX Bouge website? We all good? Okay, all right. Let me close these out so I don't get confused. And I also have on here, this is for Logan, just because he has his all filled out. But this is essentially your profile for Lead Robin. And so Lead Robin, like I mentioned earlier, is your profile on all of our RE/MAX executive websites. And if anyone needs their access or their kind of login information resent for that, I can definitely do that. But there's not anything crazy to it. It essentially just allows consumers to find you on all of our Charlotte property websites or any of our Carolina home sites as well. So really simple, your name, your title are all in here. You can link up your social media sites as well. And then you can include a bio, a link to an external website, your listings, contact info, all that good stuff. So nothing too crazy to do there, but I think it does help if someone finds you on our website. And then, of course, if they contact you, it'll go to you. If someone finds you on our website, they want to read a little bit about you, they want to see your listings, they want to go to your external site. It's a quick, easy fix to get that updated and up and running.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
So we have to go in and do this to Lead Robin, or does it pull over from web?
So this one is separate. So this is for RE/MAX Executive, all of our sites, websites that we host, and those are separate than remax.com. So we have, I think, like 7 websites now that just, again, are there to kind of capture leads and help consumers find your listings and find you. So we have regional sites. So I know we have one for Waynesville, we have one for Asheville, the lake, all of that stuff. But Lead Robin essentially is the main hub for that, and then it feeds your bio information and your contact info out to all those different websites. But that is one that we host internally.
How do we access that? Is there a website, or how do we get to it?
Yeah, so what I can do after we get off the call, we can resend. Let me see if I can get a notebook.
Like, I know I have it set up because I'm getting stuff, but I don't know how to go and check and make sure it's updated.
Yeah, so I can have Al Delpino is the one that manages that, so I'll have him resend everybody that's on this call their access to it. It's going to come through in kind of a weird email where it looks a little sketchy because there's not really a lot other than just a little bit of basic text, but essentially it'll give you a login link that you can go and you can kind of manage your lead Robin.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, no problem.
That's the HTTPS executive.leadrobin.com. Is that it?
I will have to double check. I don't have it on me. I guess I should have prepared for that, but I can send it out.
Well, you gave it to me, so I'm looking at it, so I think it's what it is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, Chris, if you have that, maybe put it in the chat and see if maybe.
Yeah, I'll do that.
If anyone wants to try to get in. But yeah, so that's lead Robin. Yeah, thanks, Chris.
Of course, you're going to have your username and password too. So.
Okay, true. All right, well, whoever needs that, I'll send it out after this and just let me know if you have any issues accessing it. Okay, any other questions on lead Robin or Booge? Good, okay. So I did want to go through, because I know on our little checklist, we also went through some external sites. So obviously MLS, I'm not going to jump into that just because it's pretty straightforward. But again, I am just encouraging you to make sure your contact info is correct, update, or include a headshot. A lot of people don't have headshots. Just it takes 2 seconds to update that information. And to also talk to you about Google Business. That was the next one on the checklist. So if you're interested in setting up a Google Business, I think it is a great option. So for example, I think I pulled up Brian's earlier. You can set up essentially a Google Business account. And so when someone searches for you or does some sort of like real estate search, you can create essentially a little profile here so that you're more likely to show up in Google search results. If you have any questions on how to do this, I know that Megaphone right now is running an ad. Thank you, Chris. Or running a promo to help you manage your Google Business account. I think they're doing it for like $99 a month. We can also help you internally, the marketing team, if you're interested in doing something like this. But again, it's just really to help get you in front of consumers. And then, of course, you can link it to things like your website or anything else. You can put reviews on here. Again,
Hey, Sarah?
Yeah.
Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good.
Can you explain the difference between just going in yourself and creating a Google Business listing and what Megaphone is offering for $99? Because if you do it yourself, it's free, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. So if you do it yourself, totally free. Essentially, you're just creating a business page, and so someone could come on here and find like what Brian has, the Brian Belcher and Company group. And essentially, you can link it to your website. You can include office hours, your office location, obviously. So this would be kind of, you can link it to Facebook and Zillow reviews. I'm not sure if he's paying for anything exactly because I'm just looking at it kind of from a consumer perspective. But what Megaphone is also doing is kind of helping your kind of promote your Google listing. And then they're also creating essentially a link to any active listings that you have, so home listings. And then they're also creating content to show up essentially in this little section here. So it'll be more than just reviews and kind of contact information. It would have, you know, any active listings that you have or any content that you're also pushing out to this section.
So well worth a couple extra bucks.
Yeah, I think they normally charge like $600 for it. So $99 for a whole year.
Isn't it $99 now?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah, so that's a good deal.
Yeah. And you don't really have to mess with it then. If they're handling it all for you, you can kind of just set it up. But yeah, so again, just making sure you're accessible online. You can set up when you create your business page, like a photo here. You can include the title, the map, a link to your website, anything again that kind of just makes it easy for clients to find you, shows professionalism, whatever you need to do. So Doodle Business, that was one. And then also just making sure that your profiles and everything on some of these real estate websites are, again, cohesive. You have an updated photo, your contact information is there and is correct. The reason I pulled up Sandy's is obviously she does a great job kind of having her brand come across on all these platforms. She has lots of reviews on here. She has all of her team members on here. And then what I liked about this one too is that she also has a little video that kind of talks about her and her team. And so she's actually gone through and kind of customized this a little bit. She has her bio in here, her team member videos in here, and then obviously all of her listings and solds. So again, just building up that brand, showing professionalism. And again, if you've noticed, Sandy's picture has been the same across all platforms. So it's just kind of cohesive in her marketing. So Zillow, if you don't have an account created with Zillow, I highly recommend doing so. And then one thing I did find out, so as far as your listings or solds coming through and linking up to your Zillow account, whatever email address you have in MLS needs to be the same email address that you have in Zillow. And that way you don't have to worry about there not being a link between your active listings and your active solds. If the email address is the same, then Zillow will kind of handle that for you. Cool. And then all of her contact information and everything is here. Good. So Zillow, Realtor.com, so same concept. Again, she has her picture in here, her contact information, her bio. I mean, I'm not going to walk through all of this, but just, again, taking a second just to customize everything. So no matter what platform that consumers find you on, they're getting, you know, your same cell phone number. They're seeing your same picture. It's a kind of across all platforms. Cool. So Zillow, that was Realtor.com. She also has her team set up on Realtor.com. And again, she's customized it so you get to see everybody, and we'll see this picture again on some of her other profiles. But just put in her specializations, really just walking through and making sure that you take a second to customize and kind of brand all of these platforms. Not anything too crazy. And then Homes.com, same concept. So I think that was all of the external sites. Any questions? Again, it's not anything crazy, anything new. I just kind of wanted to walk through them in case anyone needed anything. Okay. All right. And then on the checklist next, we were just going to talk about social media. And I know we've done plenty of trainings on these, and so I'm just going to walk through them. And if anyone has questions on how to edit or change anything, just let me know. But Facebook, obviously, you can come in here, you can customize your cover photo. So if you need them, Remax on Mac Center provides you under the marketing tab. Pull this back up. Under marketing, and I know we've gone through this, so I won't dwell on it, but this is the marketing tab here. And they have a whole section on digital and social. And so if you need any of these banners for your social sites, so any of the social covers, you can go under digital and social. And you have all of these Remax branded social media covers. So I don't want to hear any more excuses about how you can't find clear, high quality photos to put in your social accounts. You can find all of them here, and they're all Remax branded. And they're broken down by platform as well. So if you need them, they have Twitter, they have YouTube, LinkedIn, and these are all the correct dimensions for those different platforms. So if you need them, this would be your social cover right here. And so you can update that. You can update your photo just by clicking on the little update button. Again, I know this is basic stuff, but I also encourage you to go in and update your button here. And so if you wanted that to have people contact you or visit a website, you can customize all of that. And then beneath that, you have a section where you can include your bio in here as well. So we have our little company bio, our beautiful springtime photo, and the information about us here. And so again, this is just kind of the basics of your site. And then here we go. We also included our office location. So if you want to do the same thing, you can do that, and you can set up your messaging, your contact information, link to your website, anything else that you want to do. And all of that, you can go under edit page info or settings to kind of manage everything. But again, just the basics. Wanted to show you guys, you can customize your pages again so that when you're jumping between all these platforms, you provide a similar experience. Questions on Facebook? Okay. I know it's a little dull for a Monday, but I promise it'll make a big difference in the end. Okay, so on LinkedIn, and for those of you that are on LinkedIn and want to connect with us, we are Remax Executive Carolinas. There is another Remax Executive up in like Boston, so just make sure that if you are including that you are a realtor with Remax Executive, make sure that you're linking to the correct one. But essentially, yeah, so you can customize, obviously, your photo. You can customize this cover picture at the top, and you can include information about yourself and your company. So LinkedIn is not anything too crazy, but this is the consumer view. When you log into your personal account, it will give you options to essentially customize this picture, customize your name, your headshot. You can link up your website, again, whatever it is that you want to do. Good? Just the basics here. So that's LinkedIn. And then YouTube, if you have it, you're inside of your channel, you can update your photo again so that we have a similar photo on the cover for most of our social sites. We change up Facebook a little bit more just because we're a little more active on there, but just making sure that if you can customize it and kind of create that cohesive brand, you should definitely do it. And then Instagram is the last one. So again, making sure that you kind of have a cohesive look to your posts, and you set up your little bio section and link to your website here if you need it. Cool. So that's everything social. Jumping back to the checklist, I know this is all pretty straightforward, but just wanted to kind of review it and see if anyone had questions. So social media we covered. Voicemail, business cards, again, just making sure that they look professional. Your voicemail includes Remax Executive in it. And then things to consider down here, and I'll send this out so you guys can reference it later, but making sure that you have reviews on your website. So whether that's Zillow reviews, reviews on your Facebook or your Google business page, whatever it is, there's ways to kind of link all of it together, but reviews are huge. And so 82% of consumers read online reviews for small businesses and consider whether or not they want to work with that person or that business. So they are powerful and they're free, so you might as well use them. I also want to bring up making sure that you have an updated headshot. So I know this is usually not everyone's favorite topic, but if your headshot is more than a few years old, and by a few, I don't mean 10, I mean like 3, then you should consider maybe spending a little bit of money to update a headshot. So people, again, it builds trust when they see a kind of current and updated headshot. It makes them feel like they get to know you a little bit. So especially if you're doing videos and things like that, if you have a headshot from 20 years ago and then you're doing a video now, it's going to look a little different. So I would consider updating a headshot. I also think an intro video. So on some of these websites, even on the Booge website, you can upload your own video if you want to. So an intro video, since video connects with people really well, just a quick, short, under a minute, just talking about yourself and kind of where you're from, about your business, and what you can do for people. It just helps kind of, again, build that personal, add that personal touch to your online presence. And then, of course, we talked about it earlier, just updating your bio and including a little bit more personal information in there, again, so that you can connect with people, even if it is just through them reading your information online. So kind of getting down to more of like the nitty-gritty branding, I do encourage you to purchase a domain. And you can do that through GoDaddy or any of those kind of domain websites. But purchasing a domain, even if you're just pointing it at your Remax.com website, allows you to just look a little bit more professional. And it just gives you kind of that branded look. So it could be anything like Charlotte Home, I mean, whatever you can find that's still available online, but anything to help promote you or your brand. And so it's easy to purchase it. It's easy to kind of link it to your Remax website or whatever it is that you want to do, but I would consider doing that. So maybe only $10 a month, or $10 a year most of the time. Well worth it. A logo. So we talked about it earlier when we were looking over some of the stats. So consumers do actually look for a logo, and a logo is an easy way to kind of brand yourself across a bunch of different platforms. If you're using kind of just, again, to help build a cohesive look. So you can we have logos in-house. So if you wanted to work with somebody on our marketing team, they can create a logo for you. If you're a little bit more on the cost saving side, you can also do logo generators online and just try to find something that's unique. So not everyone has the house or the same logo when you're doing that. But also consider branded color scheme. So it could be the Remax color scheme. It could be your own kind of unique color scheme. But again, it just kind of helps build that cohesiveness across all of your marketing materials. And then, of course, we talked about it briefly on Instagram, but creating cohesive content and having kind of a cohesive style to your content. So if you're posting a lot of home pics, maybe post ones that are similar or have a similar style to them, just again, so people get a feel for you and kind of what you're doing. And then your contact info should be the same across all sites and platforms. And if you are purchasing a domain, you do have the option of also usually doing a branded email. So if you purchased, like for example, we have charlotteproperty.com. We also have access to an email, so it would be sarah@charlotteproperty.com. Again, just helping you look a little bit more professional and cohesive. Cohesive is my favorite word today, I guess. And then, of course, make sure you're mobile friendly. So if you do have a website outside of Remax.com, making sure that it is mobile friendly so that if people are looking for you, they're not going to get frustrated if they find your website on their phone and it doesn't work. So just a note on that. And then, of course, make sure your contact information is easy to find. So consumers, again, you only have a few seconds to build an impression. If they want to contact you, you should have that information right up in front of them. But other than that, it was just kind of a quick review of everything that you should be thinking about online and kind of where your bio and your information should be. Anyone have any questions on anything we covered? I know that was fast, but pretty straightforward. Just takes a little time. Alrighty. Well, that is all I've got. I'll send out the recording and then also this little checklist to anyone that needs it in my recap today. All right, and I'll also send out the lead Robin stuff too, so everyone has access to that. Awesome. Well, thank you guys. You have a great Monday. Talk to you later.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.